Have you ever wondered what happens when a lightning-fast assault turns the sky into a battlefield? On a foggy morning shrouding Kursk, Russia unleashes a devastating strike, launching a barrage of missiles from the Barents Sea and Black Sea to blind Ukraine's defenses. But Ukraine is ready, with a bold counter-strike plan, turning the air itself into a weapon and carving a corridor straight to the heart of Russia. Or can they pierce Moscow's ironclad armament? Number 1, and let's dive into this pinnacle of modern warfare, where technology, tactics, and courage decide Kursk's fate. The silence shattered almost immediately after the first alarm siren. From hundreds of miles away, Russian submarines lurking in the Barents Sea launched Caliber cruise missiles, while Black Sea destroyers fired a salvo of Onyx hypersonic missiles. Their targets were clear: Ukraine's radar stations and electronic warfare centers spread along the border. The plan was textbook blind: the defenses strip away their eyes and ears to fling open the sky for the next assault. On Ukrainian screens, the first dots appeared like a swarm of angry wasps streaking across the map at a speed exceeding 2,400 kilometers per hour. In just a few moments, sirens wailed across border towns. Soldiers hurriedly dashed to bunkers and controllers frantically traced the missiles' flight paths. Every second was precious. The moment of impact was measured in heartbeats. But what Moscow didn't anticipate was Ukraine's foresight. Ukraine had predicted such an attack. Mobile electronic warfare vehicles and notice systems were already in place, concealed among tree lines and barns. As the missiles crossed Ukrainian airspace, jammers sprang into action, flooding the sky with interference signals. The guidance signals began to waver. Some Caliber missiles veered off course, plunging into empty fields. Others crashed into forests, exploding harmlessly in swirling plumes of smoke. When the attack ended, dozens of craters dotted the countryside, but the radar stations and electronic warfare centers still stood, battered but not destroyed. Russia had ignited the spark, but Ukraine was still watching. The final echoes of Russian missiles faded into the morning mist, leaving scorched craters in the fields, but failing to blind Ukraine's defenses. From underground bunkers, Ukrainian commanders seized the moment. If Russia aimed to blind them, the response was clear: strike back from the sky. Within minutes, the roar of jet engines shook the air. A mixed squadron of MiG-29 Fulcrum and Su-27 flanker jets surged from hidden runways, piercing the fog like steel predators. Each plane carried air-to-air missiles for dogfights and precision munitions slung under their wings. Their mission was simple but perilous: carve a corridor straight to Kursk. But the Ukrainian fighters didn't fly alone. High above Bayraktar TB2 drones scouted ahead, their cameras painting a real-time picture of Russian movements. Every armored column, every convoy heading toward Kursk appeared clearly on Ukrainian screens. Behind them, swarms of compact but deadly FPV drones streaked forward like guided bullets. Their purpose was brutal: to slam into Russian supply trucks, command posts, and mobile radar units before they could fortify the city. On the ground, air defenses sprang into action. Patriot PAC-3 batteries formed a protective dome, while NASAMS launchers stood ready near border towns. Together, they created a shield capable of downing cruise missiles at 40 kilometers and intercepting aircraft from over 96 kilometers. The message was clear: the corridor belonged to Ukraine. As the MiGs and Su-27s skimmed low over the field, Russian radar teams scrambled to track them. But signals jammed by Bukovel and Nota systems left Russian screens crackling with static. Controllers shouted over radios, unsure if the fast-moving dots were real jets or phantoms. Then the counter-strike hit. FPV drones struck first, detonating into fuel trucks on supply roads. Footage from Bayraktars showed columns erupting into fireballs, black smoke coiling thousands of meters into the sky. At that moment, the fighter squadron surged forward, crossing the border, engines roaring, their formations slicing through the morning fog. The road to Kursk was no longer an idea. It was real, carved open mile by mile with precision, coordination, and perfect timing. Ukraine didn't just survive the opening salvo, they turned the sky itself into a weapon. The hunt for Kursk had officially begun. Ukrainian fighters tore through the heavens. But to keep the corridor alive, another force had to move in silence, invisible and no less deadly. While MiGs and Su-27s pinned down Russian defenses, camouflaged trucks rolled toward the border. These were no ordinary vehicles. They were Ukraine's electronic warfare units, Bukovel AD and Nota, bristling with antennas and shielded. Their mission wasn't to fire missiles or drop bombs. Their weapon was the frequency spectrum, those invisible waves guiding radars, relaying commands, and keeping Russia's defense network connected. As the vehicles spread out across the tree lines and abandoned farms, the operators activate the system. A low hum resonates in the cabin, followed by static crackles, as the rotating discs and antenna arrays begin emitting pulses. Within a few seconds, the air is saturated with electromagnetic interference. The first Russian systems affected are the Pantsir batteries near Kursk, designed to protect high-value targets. Their radars suddenly flicker, then go blind. The blips vanish from the screens, leaving the operators staring at empty displays. Just a few minutes later, the Buk M2 teams farther west report the same issue. Their search radars drown in a flood of ghost signals, but the real target lies deeper, the S-400 Triumph batteries protecting Kursk itself. Typically, each S-400 launcher is linked to the command center through encrypted radio channels, relaying target coordinates in a flash. Ukrainian electronic warfare teams hammer those frequencies, distorting and breaking the transmissions. Orders scramble, guidance packets vanish. In a few moments, the command chain shatters. What was once a seamless defense grid now becomes isolated nodes, each launcher cut off from its brain. Russian commanders shout into their headsets demanding clarity, but their words dissolve into static. For the first time in many years, the mighty S-400 network becomes vulnerable. On Ukrainian screens, the effect is immediately clear. Drone operators see gaps widening in the Kursk sky. Radar sweeps miss vast areas. Pilots flying low report silence on the threat warning receivers. The electromagnetic curtain is working. The battlefield shifts from noise to stillness, a rare designed void. Do you support this war? If yes, comment the number 2. If not, comment the number 5. At the heart of that void is the FSB headquarters. Its concrete and steel walls still stand, but no longer shielded by the invisible armor of Russia's air defense systems. This is not just a tactical success. It is a statement. Technology can level the playing field. The corridor is not just physical. It is electronic, forged by waves and signals rather than missiles. And through that corridor, the next phase of the assault is about to unfold. The electronic silence over Kursk's skies is not accidental. It is a doorway, and Ukraine is ready to kick it open. From that designed void, the next wave emerges, a lone MiG-29 Fulcrum engines roaring as it skims the treetops at an altitude of just 45 meters, hugging the terrain to become invisible. Beneath its wings are two French-made AASM hammer-guided bombs, each weighing 250 kilograms, turning an old Soviet jet into a blade aimed straight at the FSB's heart. The plan is simple but brutal. The MiG-29 will target the FSB headquarters itself, but it won't go alone. From positions just inside Ukraine, HIMARS batteries spring to life. In synchronized flashes, their guided missile pods streak across the border, arcing toward the Russian S-300 positions guarding Kursk. Their mission is to shatter the outer shield, forcing Russian operators to seek cover as the MiG advances. Above, invisible killers Bayraktar TB2 drones circle, relaying coordinates to ground stations, while swarms of smaller FPV drones dive like hornets, hunting Russian convoys rushing to reinforce the city. The roads light up with secondary explosions as fuel trucks and mobile radar units are taken out one by one. It's a multi-layered assault in every sense. Missiles from the ground, drones in the sky, and the MiG weaving through the fray. Each element shields the others, creating a chain of threats Russia can scarcely count. Then comes the moment no simulation can fully prepare for. Near Kursk's edge, the MiG pilot pulls the stick. The Fulcrum surges upward, climbing past 3,000 meters in seconds. His threat warning receiver screams as Russian radars lock on, but there's no turning back. At 4,800 meters, the trajectory is set. With a steady breath, he releases the bombs, tracing a parabolic path toward the target. In that moment, Kursk's fate is sealed. The HIMARS rockets have shattered the air defense perimeter. Drones continue to hammer supply lines, and now two guided bombs are hurtling toward the FSB headquarters. The attack is no longer theoretical. It's happening, irreversible and closing fast. The MiG-29's climb and bomb release tear through the final layer of silence. Russian defenses, briefly stunned, erupt into chaos. From Kursk's outskirts, the massive S-400 batteries spring to life. Launch tubes open, and 48 N-6 missiles streak upward, each the size of a telephone pole, and reaching speeds exceeding Mach 7 in seconds. Their smoke trails slice the sky like white spears hunting the Fulcrum, and the bombs it released. Closer to the city, Pantsir S-1 systems roar to life. Their 30mm cannons unleash a storm of rounds into the air, while short-range missiles streak upward in a desperate bid to intercept what their radars can no longer clearly see. It's the full might of Russia's layered defense. For a moment, Kursk's airspace becomes a cage of fire. Then comes the countermeasures. Ukraine bet everything on. The Bukovel and Nota vehicles crank their electronic jamming to the limit, flooding Russian guidance channels with staff. The powerful radars of the S-400 struggle to track the MiG and its bombs, but their locks shatter like glass under a sledgehammer. Screens fill with ghost images, false signals, and then do what? From Kursk's airbase, Su-35S jets scramble, their engines blazing orange. The sleek fighters streak toward the intruder, confident in their superiority. But before they can close in, long-range Patriot batteries in Ukrainian territory lock on from over 80 kilometers away. Alarms scream the Su-35 cockpits. Russian pilots abruptly break off, unwilling to risk their lives against missiles they can't see but know are waiting. In the chaos, the truth dawns. The bombs are still coming. The 48 and 6 interceptors streak past, detonating harmlessly in the clouds, their proximity fuses fooled by the jamming storm. For a fleeting heartbeat, it seems Kursk's defenses have held, but then the radars fall silent. The AASM hammer bombs keep falling, still adjusting their trajectories, slicing through every layer of defense Russia has raised. The Russian missiles have failed, and Kursk's final line of defense crumbles in silence. Through the haze over the city sky, the two AASM hammer bombs complete their deadly arcs. Each adjusts its path with second-by-second precision. The first bomb plunges like a spear from the heavens, piercing the reinforced concrete roof of the FSB headquarters, burrowing deep inside before detonating. The blast rips through concrete and steel shockwaves, surging down corridors and stairwells. The windows don't just crack. They shatter outward, spraying shards of glass like blades across the streets. A heartbeat later, the second bomb slams into the already wounded structure. Its warhead erupts in the building's injured core, and the structure convulses. Walls groan, floors collapse, and in less than 5 seconds, the proud fortress of Russian intelligence topples like a tower of dominoes. From a hill miles away, Ukrainian scouts see the plume of smoke rise. Files and debris, once secrets locked in safes, now burn in the open, drifting like confetti across Kursk's sky. A soldier whispers into the radio voice, "Calm, target neutralized. The assault is over." The symbol of fear is now just rubble. The FSB headquarters in Kursk no longer exists, only a smoldering heap of ruins. Beyond the battlefield, Kursk sent shockwaves through Russia itself. Families demand accountability, generals scramble for explanations, and Kremlin propagandists are forced to spin tales against undeniable satellite imagery. Meanwhile, Ukraine, backed by the quiet but immense strength of the West, stands firm, its soldiers weary but unbroken, their defensive lines intact. This was not just a localized counteroffensive. It was a stark warning to any nation underestimating the lethal blend of technology and grit in 21st century conflict. A monument to Russian power erased in seconds. Strategically, the strike is devastating. Moscow loses its frontline intelligence hub. The S-400's vulnerabilities are exposed, and a naval counterstrike becomes futile. But the attack carries meaning beyond destruction. Amid the rubble, Ukrainian soldiers aid wounded Russian firefighters. Proof that even in war, humanity endures. Above it all, a black plume of smoke rises thousands of meters, while in the distance a lone MiG-29 vanishes into the clouds, leaving only a white contrail, the mark of the daring victor. For Russia, failing to adapt to asymmetric warfare risks eroding strategic advantage. Outdated tactics and over-reliance on conventional strength leave vulnerabilities that agile adversaries can exploit. Each day without change widens these gaps and raises the cost of recovery. The future battlefield will be shaped by whoever blends tactical creativity with technological advances. Nations that don't innovate will see their deterrence fade, no matter the size of their arsenals. In an era where technology evolves monthly, the true weapon is adapting faster than the enemy. Each loss on the battlefield and in the skies erodes the image of a force once deemed invincible. The collapse of key units and bases is not just a tactical setback, but a symbolic defeat with lasting consequences. Ukraine has shown that low-cost agile drones can shift the balance even against an opponent with superior firepower. This success is not merely a battlefield victory. It is proof that agility and innovation can challenge traditional military thinking. The battle in Kursk delivers a profound lesson on the power of preparation and adaptability in modern warfare. Ukraine, despite facing a surprise Russian assault, proved that foresight, advanced technology, and tactical coordination can turn the tide. Electronic warfare systems, drones, and rapid counterstrikes not only held the line, but opened opportunities for a counteroffensive. This lesson reminds us that in a world where technology shapes the battlefield, creativity and flexibility are the keys to overcoming challenges. The war in Kursk skies ended with a black plume of smoke rising high, marking Ukraine's daring victory over Russia's intelligence stronghold. From the wind-shearing MiG-29 to the electrifying electronic warfare duel, this battle was not just a military triumph, but a testament to the power of technology and humanity amid the line between life and death. What do you think of Ukraine's bold tactics? Can Russia respond after this shock? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share to explore more epic modern warfare stories together.